Hello, aspiring project managers. This is Jerbs Explains It All, and today we are starting a new playlist on the PMP certification. So you've decided you want to become the boss. You might be a project manager or you might be interested in project management, but today's video is going to be just an introduction on the certification and generally on project management to get you thinking on whether this is something you want to start pursuing. We're going to do a whole playlist on this, and we're really excited to be with you today. So let's get started on the beginner's guide to the PMP certification. So first things first, right? What does the PMP stand for? PMP stands for Project Management Professional. So this is a globally recognized certification by the PMI, which is the Project Management Institute. It's a badge of honor. It's very respected across the industry, and it demonstrates your expertise in managing projects and leading teams. So why should you consider pursuing your PMP? So the benefits are immense. It opens the doors to job opportunities, enhances your earning potential, validates your skills in the eyes of employers across the globe, right? So either you're a seasoned project manager or you're just starting out, the PMP has both benefits both ways. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So understanding project management. Okay, so project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the requirements. So there's a couple phases of project management. So there's the initiation piece, there's planning, the actual execution, the monitoring it, and then ultimately closing the project. So the project manager is the quarterback, the one responsible, playing the crucial role in ensuring all of the activities are successful, and they manage the resources, timelines, and risks. Okay, so more about the certification now. So the PMP certification is to assess your knowledge and the application of project management processes. So I don't want you to think that this is some kind of exam that you could just memorize and learn all the concepts and pass the exam. It's not just knowing the information, it's knowing how to apply it. So it's not just content related questions, it's really, as a project manager, what would you do in this scenario? And you have to know what's the best solution and how to handle a various scenario. So it's not an exam you can memorize, but it's a combination of learning those. So you still need to know the content, you need to know the key terminology and the steps, and then there's a little bit of common sense. So that's where it helps if you've got some project experience and you know the basics of working in a corporate environment, of how to handle different issues and personnel issues and that kind of thing. So a lot of that comes with experience, and you'll know and you'll be able to apply it on the exam. But there's definitely some studying component. But what you also need to know is that the exam is multiple choice questions, which is nice. So it's no essays. So it's going to test your understanding of project management, and it's going to cover all the areas we talked about. So all the phases of the project are going to be covered on the exam. Okay, so now let's talk about the minimum requirements. So you're interested, and this is now the minimum requirements to be eligible to sit for the exam. So you can't just go ahead and take the certification. You need to get approval from the PMI that you're qualified to take the exam. So here are the minimum requirements. You need either at least a high school diploma and 5 years of project management experience. Or alternatively, if you've got a bachelor's degree, that's great. Then the amount of experience required is 3 years. And then in both scenarios, you also need to do 35 hours of project management education. So I don't want you to see this slide and think, that's it. I'm not qualified. I'm not a project manager, so I'm not going to meet the experience requirement. Well, it doesn't say being a project manager. You just need to have project management experience. So if you're working for any corporate company right now, 90% chance you're already involved in some type of project, some kind of initiative, some objective, right? So you just have to find the project experience you got out of it. Right? You might not be the project manager, but were you on the team? That's experience, right? So you can apply um, that experience when you submit your application. So you don't have to be the project manager. I can want to emphasize that again. And then for the 35 hours of education, there's a lot of flexibility there. You don't necessarily have to take an expensive course. However, I recommend doing some kind of boot camp really to get you ready for the exam, especially if you're not working as a project manager currently. It's going to help you get the experience on the terminology and some different processes that you're not involved in day to day. That's really important. So, but there again, there's flexibility there on in terms of how you get those education experiences. All right, so thoughts on the the best plan to succeed on the exam. There's everyone's different, right? I'm not gonna come and tell you, oh, only do practice exams, or hey, you need a study group. No, really, you got everyone's a little different. Everyone studies a little different, and succeeds differently in that sense. Now, just develop a plan for yourself. That's my recommendation coming out of this is yourself, and if you need someone to hold you accountable, then make sure you get that person. Be like, hey, I want to start studying a couple hours every week for the PMP exam. Can you hold me accountable? Do that. Or, hey, I'm going to set an alarm and I'm going to do 2 hours on a Saturday and I'm going to just do practice exams because that's how I learn. And if I get the answers wrong, I'm going to look it up in the PMBOK guide. So the PMBOK guide is crucial. That's one of your most important study guide. It's got a lot of information. It's the key content for the exam, but you don't have to memorize it. Again, you have to learn it. You have to understand it, know the terminology, but don't try to memorize everything. It's not going to help you at the end of the day. There's a lot of content and um, there's a lot of application questions, right? So it's not going to help you at the end of the day to memorize it completely. All right, so there's some things to think about. Now, the exam's difficult, but it's doable. It's really doable. I mean, if you've gotten a bachelor's degree in college, chances are you can definitely pass this exam. It's not the hardest exam in the world, but it's not something you can walk into without studying. You got to do a bit of prep. Now, people are going to say, oh, you need 6 months or 3 months. Really, everyone's a little different there. How much experience you've got in project management affects that. How motivated you're going to be into studying it. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world to study for 1 month intensely and pass it. 3 months, I think, is a good balance. That way, you could dedicate every a few hours every week, make it part of your weekly routine, but doesn't necessarily have to be sit down 8 hours a day and focus on studying. If you find your balance, find your needs, and come up with your best study plan. That's the introduction for the PMP certification. In the coming videos now, we're going to start deep diving on various topics on actually applying and how to study for the exam, some important content. I'll help you explain. I'm going to explain some of the content myself here on this playlist. So stay with us. Please subscribe to our channel. And but that's it. That's the introduction for today's for the PMP. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.